Everybody told me Jay was corny and whack. Everybody told me not to f with him. And I did it.
Conspiracy against me, you know, because in the absence of the truth, bullshit will prevail. So as long as nobody out there spitting real, you know, you can come up with it.
How do you listen to a whole album, pick a single, shoot a video, then don't know? Okay, I see what's really good. You're trying to eliminate the competition. You know, because at first you retire, you know, then get me off the label, now you're back rapping again.
Dame Dash is stirring the pot again, this time blasting Jay-Z and his mentor Leor Cohen. And get this, he's spilling some crazy tea about how these two allegedly teamed up to sabotage DMX. Fans are back on Jay's neck, calling him out for being a hypocrite, acting like he's all about uplifting the culture and supporting black artists, when behind the scenes, it's a whole different story. According to Dame, Jay has been stepping on his own people just to climb higher.
The industry, man, it's not the same. Doesn't have to do with talent, it's about playing the game. The industry, real niggas is dying to get in. The industry, just to find they don't.
And now Dame's pulling the curtain all the way back, dropping shocking claims about how Jay and Leor allegedly sacrificed black artists, DMX included, just to get to the top. The wildest part? DMX saw through all of it and tried to speak up, but nobody listened until it was way too late. Yeah, people been saying Dame Dash has this never-ending beef with Jay-Z, and some even call him bitter or obsessed with revenge. But if you listen to Dame, he swears it's way deeper than personal drama. Dame's been speaking on this for years, but it barely ever gets reported right. According to Dame, the problem ain't just Jay-Z, it's who Jay decided to link up with. Folks like Leor Cohen. Dame's been saying these industry execs make millions off black culture, while also pushing this messed up agenda to make the culture look wild and dangerous.
A competitive thing, but it was big love. He was so competitive with me. I never met a human being more competitive with me, like ever, not even my...
DMX, he was one of the first to clock it and call it out loud. Quick history lesson. When Jay snatched up the president spot at Def Jam back in 2004, right after Leor Cohen left, he took control of the whole Rockefeller catalog and straight up pushed Dame and Biggs out of the picture. But for Dame, it wasn't just about losing the label. It was about watching Jay turn his back on his people and letting Leor play him like a puppet. And Dame's got receipts, because one artist he always said Jay completely left hanging was DMX. Now, of course, Jay-Z never owned up to any of this. He brushed it all off, saying DMX was just being super competitive.
Okay, I see what's really good. You're trying to eliminate the competition. You know, because at first you retire, you know, then get me off the label, now you're back rapping again.
After DMX passed, Jay even popped up on LeBron James's show, claiming there was never any beef, saying DMX just loved to compete, and it was all friendly vibes. But hold up. According to DMX, it was Jay who stayed stuck on competition. When Jay became president of Def Jam, DMX was already that guy, sitting on 5 #1 albums. But DMX said once Jay got that power, everything changed. Suddenly, Jay was in his way. DMX even broke it down on The Breakfast Club, saying Jay purposely sabotaged him. Why? Because Jay changed his mind about retiring and wanted to sweep out the competition before his big comeback. But it went deeper than just music battles. DMX didn't trust Jay because of who he was rolling with. DMX always called out those shady industry bosses, especially Leor Cohen, and he felt like these execs had way too much control over artists. And to DMX, Jay was just too cozy with those real shot callers.
No problem, DMX.
I'm so sad. DMX, there's 2 people inside of him. And the Earl is one of the nicest people. I put him up in Lake George. Earl loved being silent with a fishing pole. I shit you not. He just would stay.
Jay-Z? Oh, he been playing the industry game from day one. He cozied up to Leor Cohen quick, even called him his mentor in his own book, Decoded. Here's a straight-up quote from Jay's book. Leor Cohen, who I consider my mentor, once told me something he learned from a rabbi about the 8 degrees of giving in Judaism. The highest level of giving, the eighth, is giving in a way that makes the receiver self-sufficient. Wild, right? Knowing everything folks been saying about Jay and Leor, especially the shady moves they allegedly pulled to stack their cash, it hits real different hearing them talk about being generous and selfless.
On that dock, hours and hours and hours and hours. Yeah, very, very sad. You know, I think the opioid problem, the syrup problem, is the biggest problem that I've ever seen and I've ever faced, and been a part of. And I can't fuck with it. You know,
But who really is Leor Cohen, and why does his name ring bells in hip hop? Well, you can peep his Wikipedia. Born in New York to Israeli immigrant parents, Leor been a massive power player in the music game for over 3 decades. He started out managing rappers at Rush Productions, climbed up the ranks at Def Jam, ran Warner Music Group, and after dipping in 2012, he built his own label, 300 Entertainment. These days, Leor's got a whole new title. He's YouTube's global head of music. But this is where things start getting real shady. There's been a long-running theory that Leor might be tied to some undercover agency, using his industry connects to push certain agendas in hip-hop. So why do people even think this? Well, for starters, Leor's been caught lying about his background more than once, especially about his family and where he really came from. Like on Vlad TV in October 2023, when they asked him about his mom. At first, he said she was just a housewife. But later in the same interview, he slipped up and admitted his mom actually worked for the Israeli government and even helped him land a gig at the National Bank of Israel. And that's not all. Leor's been in the middle of controversy for years. No wonder Dame Dash called him a culture vulture.
Crack thing was devastating, but at least the rappers were bringing a spotlight to you becoming a fiend. Okay, and I thought that spotlight, head crack, helped.
Just look at when Leor popped up on The Breakfast Club, acting all heartbroken about DMX's addiction struggles, talking about the opioid crisis, all while people been accusing him of exploiting the same culture he claims to care about. But here's where it gets wild. When Charlemagne straight up asked Leor why he keeps signing artists who glorify substance use, especially during a full-blown opioid crisis, Leor basically shrugged it off, like that's just how the business works. And when Charlemagne brought up Dame calling him a culture vulture, Leor got all loud and defensive, pretending like he didn't even know who Dame Dash was. Like, okay, Mariah. But for Dame, this was just more proof he'd been right about Leor the whole time.
I was hearing too much police talk, and that's that. And I didn't feel like being bothered. So leave me the fuck alone and keep my name out your mouth. You no longer have beef with me. So leave me.
Dame clapped back hard on Instagram, writing, "Thanks for this, Leor Cohen, for proving my point. In true culture vulture form, they make money off of us and then try to erase our true history and act like the real ones never existed. He pays his bills at the expense of us." But here's where it gets real spooky. Dame said that right after he started calling out Leor in public, the cops started showing up out of nowhere. And that just added even more heat to the rumors about Leor possibly having some deep ties to intelligence agencies. Now let's talk about the disrespect Leor showed DMX at his own funeral. DMX's memorial went down in Brooklyn on April 25th, 2021. And guess what? Leor didn't even bother showing up in person. Nope, he sent in a video, and in it, he said people weren't surprised that DMX allegedly overdosed, and even called X a gremlin who crashed into a wall. Imagine that. Leor actually recorded this to be played at DMX's funeral. It sounded more like mockery than respect. And this is the dude Jay-Z calls his mentor? No wonder DMX wanted nothing to do with these industry folks. See? Unlike Jay, DMX always spoke loud and clear when it came to exposing shady business in the industry. X said straight up he got blackballed just for refusing to play along, turning down fake dinners with those big shot execs. And let's not forget, DMX called it out in his track, The Industry. breaking down how the whole system really works and how fresh talent gets chewed up and spit out. And it gets even creepier. DMX once said, the devil came to him more than once. He knew it was the devil every time because what was offered sounded real sweet, but always came with those weird strings attached. Let's bring it back to Dame Dash for a second. People love to clown him for being stuck in the past, always dragging Jay-Z's name through the mud. And yeah, maybe there's some truth to that. But if you ask Dame, and plenty of other industry insiders, the real problem is way bigger. Most artists are just too scared to speak up about Jay. It's like the second you speak out, boom, you're labeled as washed up, bitter, or just plain jealous. And that's exactly what happened to DMX. When he went on The Breakfast Club and talked about how Jay allegedly sabotaged his album, folks didn't listen. They threw shade at X, saying he was just bitter, and Jay was the better businessman. But now that X is gone, suddenly everyone's acting like he was spitting facts all along. That's why a bunch of fans are starting to back Dame, saying, yeah, maybe he's petty sometimes, but at least he's got the guts to call things out and speak his truth about Jay-Z. One fan even said that's been the real theme when it comes to Dame. Every single time Dame answers a question about Jay-Z, the comments blow up. Folks saying, why is he always talking about Jay? And Twitter, they stay wildin', always trying to paint Dame as the villain. But then you got people clapping back, like one fan who said, man, I miss DMX. He kept it 100 all the time. Everything he warned us about in this industry is flooding out now, and nobody can stop it. You just know DMX would be out here cooking these industry weirdos if he was still with us. Rest in power to the legend, X. But I need to hear your thoughts. Is Dame Dash doing too much by always calling out Jay-Z? Or is it refreshing to finally see somebody with the guts to speak the truth and not care about industry politics? Let me know what you think down in the comments. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Catch you in the next video.